Would you like to sing on a star? Carry moonbeams home in a jar and be better off than you are? Or would you rather be a mule? Now a mule is an animal with long funny ears. He kicks up at anything he hears.
Greetings everyone. You are watching this vid because you are enrolled in one of 3 courses that I'm teaching this semester. Either Elements of Music, or History of Rock and Roll, or Jazz History. So I'm very excited to have you joining me, and I use this introduction video to introduce you to myself and to a little bit about the way I teach and a little bit about the way these online courses are designed. So my name is Dr. Hendrickson. You can call me Dr. H. Everybody does. And I'm going to be your host for the next about 12, 13 weeks for these courses. So the other thing I wanted to mention in this introduction vid is how sorry I am that it's taken so long to get to this point. There's just been a whole slew of technical glitches, as well as glitches in ordering the textbooks and just getting things started late. So I do apologize for all the delays. Hopefully those have all been worked out and we can just proceed normally. One thing I would like to mention, just to reiterate to each of you, is these are online courses. If you have not already discovered it, we don't meet on a regular basis, right? There is no physical meeting time, nor is there an online meeting time. So we all just simply are responsible for getting our work done, as our various courses have schedules for these assignments on when they start, when they're due. Okay, so just keep an eye on those calendars and schedules and you're going to be fine. The next thing that is common to all of the online courses that I teach is that there are 2 sides to the story, right? There is the e-learning side and there is the Connect for Education, or our online textbook side. So a little bit about that. On the e-learning side, this is where you're going to find things like course documents, the syllabus. You're going to find your grades. You're going to find announcements. You're going to find things like the course calendars, something called the detailed course calendar or schedule. And you're also going to find the chapters or section breakdown modules. These are things that just sort of, you can click on these modules and they'll tell you what is in each section or what is in each chapter, and if there is a discussion or some type of assignment associated with it, that type of thing. So that's pretty much what you will find in the way of what is on our online text through e-learning. So hang on. And then also on e-learning, you will find our discussion topics, which are also part of our assignment process. And then we have what's called the Connect for Education, or our online textbook side. And it's on the online textbook side where you're going to find all of your assignments, all of the reading, listening, if you have listening assignments, and so forth. So that's where the bulk of the work will be done, is on your online text, which is why you hear me say more than once, you can't successfully complete the course without purchasing that online textbook access code. You've got to be able to do those assignments, and those assignments can only be done on the online text. You will have all of your quizzes, all of your exams will all be on the Connect for Education online textbook site, and your grades. So there are 2 components to the grades, obviously the e-learning side grade and the textbook side grade. Which one's which? Well, here's the thing. Your Connect for Education, or your online textbook side grade, will be the most up to date with respect to the assignments and the readings and so forth that are on your online text. The other side of that is if you have essays that are part of your assignment. Some of my courses require you to write short essays based upon maybe listening or viewing something. And those grades will be posted a little bit differently. They're posted on your online text, but only after they've been graded. So just be patient, because this is kind of a longer process. And your grade may not be reflected as quickly as you would like on e-learning. This is just a process that we're still working through, trying to get it so that the two things are linked together. And unfortunately, at this stage, there is no way to do that. So a couple of things then about me. Just remember that if you are at any time you have any questions or issues about any of the material of the course or any particular aspect of the course, the best way to get in touch with me is through email. I can guarantee you an answer within 24 to 48 hours, except on the weekends. That's the only time I can't make that guarantee. But most of the time, if you email me, I can get back with you within 24 to 48 hours. The only exception to that rule, if you email me on a Friday, I'm probably not going to get back to you until the following Monday. So that's just because I'm never around on the weekends. But I will be able to answer you as quickly as possible within that, within the framework of the week. Part of the reason for this is I'm only in my office 2 days a week this semester, so it's a little bit more difficult for me to get things from you in the way of like phone messages, which, by the way, you can leave a voicemail. I will get back to you, but it's quicker if you just email me, because I can access my email from anywhere. My phone I can only access from my office. Okay, so I look forward to getting to know each of you, if only through the internet. But I also get to know you through our various discussion topics, through email conversations, things like that. So please do take part in those, and have a great semester. Now let's take a look at your individual courses. We're just going to break them down a little bit. You don't have to do anything. It'll just immediately follow after this introduction. So here we go. Well, welcome to MUS 118 Jazz History. I'm very excited to have you join me in this course. I've been saying this all along, so let's just put it out there. If you have not already done so, please go ahead and purchase that online textbook access code. You can't access the textbook without it, and you can't pass the course without the textbook. So please make every effort to get that going. If you are having any difficulty purchasing your online textbook access code, please get in touch with me as soon as possible. Now, I know in the beginning we had some difficulties with the bookstore not having enough access codes available. That since has changed. You should have ample codes available now at the bookstore. If you are using financial aid, or your school is paying for your textbooks, you need to discuss this with the bookstore, and you should probably also alert the financial aid office that you are using these monies, or talk to your school to let them know that the bookstore does in fact have these now. If I can help you with this process in any way, please, please, please let me know. Next thing you should do is to register the online textbook access code once you purchased it, because you can't access it until you register it. Okay, so you should spend some time exploring our e-learning site if you have not already done so. Check out, of course, the course syllabus, things like that, and something called the detailed course calendar. And while we're talking about that, you should note on the detailed course calendar, you'll see start dates and end dates. So every one of our assignments, every one of the sections in our textbook is given a start date and an end date, a time frame, usually 3 to 4 weeks to get things done. So you should have ample time to finish the work that you need to get done. My reason for bringing this up is don't wait until the last minute to submit your work. You've got ample time. Use your time wisely, please. Also, you will notice on our online text, we have, on our e-learning site, we have the discussion topics, which are part of your coursework. They are things that you need to do in order to get a grade. So do take part in those. The first one was the introductions. Most of you have already done that, and that's great. There will be others. Now, I should make mention here that our online text contains something called Let's Discuss. And many of you have already partaken of these, and I appreciate the effort. But understand, that is different than the discussion topics that we have on e-learning. So there's two, remember, there's two sides of the story. There's two different discussion platforms, if you will, that we're going to be using. So it's not just your textbook. I will have other discussion topics besides the one that is on your online text and besides the first one we did on e-learning called Introductions. So let's take a look at our online text and see how we can navigate around it. Okay, so hey, jazz history peeps, here is a look at our online textbook. Some of this, for many of you, is probably superfluous, especially those of you who've already had the textbook for some time. But for those of you who are just now acquiring the textbook, this might help you in some way, be a little bit informative. Okay, so when you register your textbook, you'll be able to access it this way. You'll see when you log on to C4E, you'll see the On Music Jazz link. You just click on that and this will come up. In fact, I'll just show you, for those that might be having some difficulty, you won't have this many choices unless you happen to be taking another Connect for Education course where you're using the Connect for Education textbook. But you'll see our course here, Delta College MUS 118 FA 810. Just click on that. And after a little bit, depending upon how fast or how slow your internet connection is, mine is apparently running a little slow today, your page will come up. And here you can see how everything is laid out. We have sections, obviously, section 1 and section 2, section 3, and so forth. This is mirrored in our detailed course calendar. And then you can see every section contains classes. Each of the classes has specifics that you are asked to take a look at. If you have not already visited the keyboard vid that I shared with you, you should go ahead and do that. You can learn a lot from that vid and then learn about the staves and the clefs and so forth, and how they relate to the piano. Class 2, the music basics and so forth. And then you see this Let's Discuss Your Musical Background. Well, if you click on that, it gives you some things to talk about, and you'll see here there are your classmates, their discussions and so forth on there. So if you haven't participated in this, please do. These are great discussions, and it just gives you the opportunity to get another person's take on the subject that we're looking at. This, by the way, as I said in our intro vid, this is not the same thing as our online discussion topics. Our online discussion topics happen on the e-learning site. So that's that other side to the two sides to this story. But that one you will need to do so as well, because that does also count towards your grade. You can also see from that opening page the layout of the text being what it is. You can also see when you have quizzes. For example, here's a section 1 quiz. You'll notice that it has a due date. The quiz will close Saturday, October 1st at 11:59 p.m. And if you were to click on attempt now, as I am doing, it says here, what fundamental element of music may be defined as
the succession of articulated durations? Well, the choices are rhythm, chromatic scale, tempo, or measure. Well, let's click on rhythm because I believe that is the correct answer. And when you do that, it will show you whether or not you have answered correctly or not. So if you had answered or we had answered incorrectly, you would see this highlighted in red, and there'd be a red check mark, and it would give you the correct answer at the bottom. So there you have it, folks. It's really pretty straightforward. There's not anything too complex or difficult about the online text. But if at any time you find that you are confused or a little bit unsure of something, always you can email me, and I will do my very best to answer your question and to help you work through whatever confusion you might be having or whatever lack of information you might be having. So I just want to point out a couple other things. Just the fact that these sections and classes are progressive. You can't skip around. You have to do them in succession. That's why they're laid out the way that they are. I encourage you to read the introductions to these, because even though you might be familiar with music, you may not be familiar with the way it's presented here. And you'll note that the introductions have
Despite their apparent stylistic diversity, different jazz pieces share common elements, such as improvisation and swing feeling, and on a more basic level, common forms and instrumentation. This section's focus on form and timbre in jazz will hopefully give you a deeper understanding of jazz improvisation. To fully appreciate jazz improvisation, you should be familiar with the standard jazz forms, the sound of various instruments, and their
it's helpful to you. Again, I can't stress enough, if you have questions, please do get in touch with me and understand that I'm here to help, and my goal is not for you to be confused, but to get through this and to actually learn. One final thing, note that the midterm and the final exam are also classes. The midterm happens to be found at the end of section 6, and it is class 13. The final exam, of course, will be in the very last section at the very end, class 30, which happens to come in section 14. Okay, folks, let's get back to our intro vid.
Okay, so hopefully that has helped you if you were having some issues understanding how to work around your online text. I will make a mention here, if you are using a tablet or a phone, your cell phone to view your text, you might want to make sure that you're scrolling down all the way, because sometimes the way the format is, the way this is presented, your online text everything doesn't show up on a phone screen or on a tablet. So do take the time to look all the way down to read the materials. One other thing about our e-learning, the detailed course schedule or calendar, you'll notice that there's a podcast in there. And I will provide more information about this podcast, but simply what this is a way for you to view a jazz performance or a performance of a jazz artist. It's a local jazz artist. This is a podcast that I filmed a couple of months ago for another course that I teach, and the students in that course actually generated the questions that I present during the podcast interview. So I will have more info on this as we go along, but just be aware that that's what that is. It's just another way for you to hear a live performance and to give your take on the stuff that you hear. Folks, I really look forward to working with you and getting to know you more throughout this semester. So have a great fall, and we'll talk to you soon.
Love makes me treat you the way that I do. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you? There's nothing too good for a girl that's so true. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you? Bought you a fur coat for Christmas, a diamond ring, a Cadillac car, and everything. Love makes me treat you the way that I do. Gee, baby,